The new Men's Club World Cup will therefore take place in 2025.
Did you forget about the Club World Cup? Because I didn't. It's on my mind all the time. Like a hurricane that's spinning over the ocean and threatening to hit land soon. The Club World Cup is looking a bit strange, very strange, in every single way. And we are less than a year out. But hey, they gifted us the logo. Thoughts? A bit Mickey Mouse looking, isn't it? A bit Pro Evolution Soccer, isn't it? But the weirdness of this tournament stems from you have an international tournament that's scheduled to be in the same country at the exact same time as the Club World Cup. You have major doubts that top players will even compete in the Club World Cup. You have a sneaky little club tournament also scheduled for December that flew under the radar. But what you don't have, host cities announced or broadcast deals. And while they are late to be announced, those last two things could, in theory, be announced really soon. But that doesn't excuse the rest of the things we'll get into in this video. This is like that time one of your friends was like, yo, we're having a party at your place next weekend, man. And they didn't do anything to help organize it. And half of the guests they invited already had scheduling conflicts and couldn't come, but they insist to go ahead with the party. You know, that's the vibe that this tournament has from football's big charity, FIFA. To be fair, they have helped grow the game around the world. That's for sure. With all the bad, there is some good. And you know who else has? Sangalo. Yes, I read your mind. I knew you were eyeing up this jersey and thinking, that's sick, but I don't want to interrupt him and ask about it. As you guys know, Sangalo are the homies who have made my kit collection the most unique in the world, as they sell officially licensed kits from clubs in all corners of the globe: India, Laos, Cambodia, Ivory Coast, Belize, and more. And now, to contribute even more to helping bring clubs from every inch of the globe into the limelight, they are actually sponsoring, designing, and manufacturing kits for clubs such as this one, made by Sangalo. This kit is sick, and it's the official kit of the champions of the Cook Islands, Tupapa Mararenga FC. It's immediately become one of my favorites. So, to help support the growth of the game and add some truly unique kits to your collection, use the link below to visit Sangalo and enter the code RBTV at the checkout for 10% off of your order. Now, back to the Club World Cup and its disappointment.
Well, this is not good. This is not right.
And it's too bad, isn't it? Because on paper, it's a sick idea, right? Having the best 32 clubs in the world all competing with each other in a World Cup format is a really, really cool idea. Again, if you suspend your disbelief when it comes to the whole player welfare, injuries, and way too many matches already of it all. Looking past that is pretty sick. It's what every single kid playing FIFA on their PlayStation did with custom tournaments back in the day. But at the very least, the Club World Cup seemed like it had some real legitimacy to it with this format. And I gotta put an asterisk next to that because clubs outside of Europe had always placed much more stock in the Club World Cup than European clubs did. Since teams outside of Europe winning the thing were harder to come by, making the final and having that chance of defeating the European champions was something they looked forward to each December, something they held in very high regard. Well, here's surprise number one. That December tournament isn't going away. No. Seriously, while the Club World Cup has evolved like a Pokemon, FIFA also announced in 2023 that teeny tiny 6-team Club World Cup that you knew and loved isn't going anywhere. Instead, it will be renamed as the FIFA Intercontinental Cup, with the first edition being played this year in December of 2024. What? Okay guys, look, I'm not claiming to be an encyclopedia of all things football or anything like that, far from it.
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
But given my interest in football and the fact that I make a living doing this, I'm pretty in the know of the goings on in the world of this sport. I track everything. I'm constantly listening to podcasts, reading articles, whatever I have to do because I have to do it, right? This slipped right under my radar. And when I began searching around on the internet in a panic because I had missed something, there's almost no coverage of it. You guys tell me in the comments, did you know about this, or was your understanding or assumption like mine, which was, well, if they have the Club World Cup every 4 years, then surely they won't do that annual tournament in December because there's no real point to it, right? Infantino, right? But no, that's not the case, man. We're still going to have this annual tournament, which to me is rendered fairly pointless. It's like having a mini World Cup with every continental champion annually, and then the real World Cup every 4 years. Wait, no, Gianni, no, Don't get any ideas? So yeah, for this upcoming edition, FIFA favor UEFA big time, as the UEFA champion doesn't even need to play a semi-final. They just play in the final against whatever other losers make it to them, right? FIFA, I mean, I don't feel that way, but that's what the attitude feels like, right? Let those other bums fight it out for the honor of playing the European club in the final. But anyway, that isn't even the Club World Cup. That's just a bonus tournament in this video. In the Club World Cup itself, it's looking weird. They don't even have the broadcasters sorted out yet, or at least they haven't announced them, because the deadline to apply for the broadcasting rights was August 20th, 2024. That was a change, actually, as they had been negotiating with Apple for a long time. Previously, Apple and FIFA were in that negotiations, but the deal collapsed or wasn't finalized yet. Who knows? Maybe Apple will have included a bid for that August 20th deadline, but initial reports from The Athletic/New York Times say that strong rumors pointed to Apple offering just $1 billion for the rights to the tournament, while FIFA valued the broadcasting rights at closer to $4 billion. So a bit of an ocean between their valuations, you could say. To put things into perspective, Apple paid $2.5 billion for the MLS broadcasting rights for every single match in MLS for 10 years. Now, the tournament is supposed to be held in the USA, but apparently, according to that same report from the New York Times, Fox Sports didn't even bother bidding yet, as far as they knew, and NBC valued the rights to be closer to around $30 million, so they didn't put a bid in, allegedly. But also, Ricardo Fort of Visa, a major FIFA partner, pointed out that a new global tournament should never be behind a paywall like Apple TV in the first place, and the man's not wrong. It's a terrible idea to put a novel tournament behind a paywall. That is, if Apple didn't air it for free, which it would be hard to believe that they would. On top of the broadcasting deal valuations, FIFA has had issues finding major sponsors for the tournament, and even existing long-time partners like Adidas and Coca-Cola got into disputes with FIFA due to the fact that they believe they shouldn't have to pay additional money for this new tournament, given they're already FIFA partners in everything, basically. So for both broadcasters and potential sponsors, the fact that clubs like Barcelona, AC Milan, Manchester United, and Liverpool won't be taking part in the tournament is a huge problem, and a huge problem for FIFA as well, as far as attracting broadcasters and sponsors. Hey, cool logo, guys, but we know the host cities for the World Cup in 2 years. Where are these Club World Cup matches going down? What makes this all the more complicated is that the Gold Cup is happening at the exact same time. Look at this. The 2025 Gold Cup, which, by the way, that's the CONCACAF Cup, the North American Cup, like Copa America, but for North America, for the people outside of North America. Anyway, the Gold Cup will run from June 14th, 2025 to July 6th in the United States of America. The Club World Cup is currently scheduled for June 15th to July 13th, 2025 in the United States of America. Well, how will this happen? FIFA and CONCACAF struck a deal where, get this, the Gold Cup will be played on the west coast of the United States, while the Club World Cup will be played on the east coast of the United States. It's absolutely crazy. Now, they're doing this so that they can accommodate European audiences for the Club World Cup. The one exception would be that the Seattle Sounders would play a match at home on the West Coast, as it would be pointless to have them play away on the East Coast instead of in front of their 68,000 strong supporters at Lumen Field in Seattle. However, apparently contracts haven't even been sorted yet between some of the suspected stadiums for the Club World Cup and FIFA. Stadiums like MetLife Stadium in New Jersey and Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, just outside of Boston, their representatives have said that they will not be participating, a hardline no, despite hosting 7 matches for the 2026 World Cup. So there are more stadiums in the States on the East Coast, but there's still a lot of sorting to do. And further, UEFA are unhappy with FIFA for a couple of reasons. One, because UEFA wants to have the mother of all club competitions, as many people refer to the Champions League as the greatest club competition in the world. And two, UEFA's Nations League final tournament will be taking place at the beginning of June. The semi-finals on the 4th and 5th of June, the final on the 8th of June.
So it takes its all, I think, especially mentally, because I think like everybody, you need a break just to switch off about everything. And I think your body needs to heal in a certain way. But nobody listens to players anyway. Is the way it goes, and we'll take it on the chin, but I can see a lot of injuries coming in general for everybody.
You have to wonder how many players will be going from the Nations League or the other World Cup qualifiers or tournament qualifiers that will be happening during that international window in June 2025 around the world, and then straight to the Club World Cup, right? So the expectation would be that players play this entire season, go on international duty, then return to their clubs for the Club World Cup or their country for the CONCACAF Gold Cup, both of which run until mid-July, meaning some would be playing football from August 2024 to mid-July 2025, and then will need to return for the next season 1 month later. You can understand why FIFPro, the watchdogs for player welfare in a sense, have threatened FIFA with legal action if they do not reschedule the 2025 edition of the Club World Cup. Man. So it begs the question of how many stars will even show up for this tournament in the first place? If it's filled with second stringers and other squad players, it doesn't exactly carry the cachet, the glitz and glam that FIFA will have hoped for, does it? Plus, there are some teams that may be qualified for this edition of the Club World Cup, but may yet need to qualify in qualifiers for various UEFA competitions, which typically begin around the end of July. Some say that you could look at it as a glorified preseason tournament, but the timing of it doesn't make it preseason, and that doesn't really fit the bill of how FIFA envisioned this tournament. They want to make the greatest club tournament in the world, right?
Of course.
But looking at the timing, teams typically return to training in early July or so for preseason. Maybe if the tournament started a bit later, it would lend itself to that, a glorified preseason tournament leading into the season. But if you start it later, you run into a host of other scheduling conflicts, and the messes just pile up further and further and further. Overall, this tournament is a mess at all levels. If this tournament turns out to be a success, I will be amazed. If this tournament goes forward, I would be very surprised. In fact, I would guess that we may get an announcement from FIFA soon that they're going to reschedule the tournament to another year. But that begs the question of when. The schedule is already packed. There's enough football already. And as cool as it would be to see the best teams from around the world playing in this kind of tournament, maybe these tournaments should just stay on the PlayStation instead of the pitch, you know? Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Take care.